Hi, my name is Hans Peter Meyer, and today I'm talking to Verna Mumby. Hi, Verna.
Hello.
Verna is a, what do you call it, arborist, right?
Yeah,
you work with
right.
trees.
Yeah.
Here in Comox, in the Comox Valley, but you work outside of the valley as well, right?
I do,
You actually
yes.
fly to places and they bring you in.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been here for 6 years.
That's correct, yeah.
And you've been on the board of the Comox Valley Land Trust for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking to Verna as part of a series of conversations about conservation in the Comox Valley, and particularly about your involvement with the Land Trust. So how did you, or why did you get involved with the Land Trust?
I felt that I wanted to be involved with a group that had some backing of environmental protection in the valley. And I had met Vivian Dean, and she had talked to me about the Land Trust, and I read Natures Without Borders, and I felt it was a very good documentation.
So what is Natures Without Borders? And why did it impress you?
It impressed me because it was a good overview of the covenants that were presently under the Land Trust, and also all the different attributes of the covenants, and how all the development that has happened in the valley over the last number of years has negatively impacted on parts of the environmentally sensitive areas. Reading that, I just went, wow, that's a great document to have as a base document. And with that, I went to a couple of meetings, and I felt that people were quite passionate about retention of the land, and meeting Jack Menard and seeing the involvement that there was there, I just felt it was a good place to do some volunteer work.
You work, I mean, you're an arborist, you're concerned about trees, but you work mostly with people who are developing land. So can you tell me about that fit, and how your professional kind of interest in conservation and also development, and how that fits with the Land Trust and your work there?
Sure. Basically, when I'm working with, if it's developer, homeowners, commercial sites, residential sites, people ask me about retaining large trees on their property, and also talking about sensitive ecosystems close to their property. It really works hand in hand with understanding where the Land Trust is with their information, and what I can share with people about, from my profession, about keeping trees. I find that people, especially in the valley, we've lost a lot of our urban forest already, and I find that especially people with the Land Trust certainly want to try and retain a lot of our areas as best we can.
Why is that an issue? I mean, we have tons of trees here. Why?
Yeah, you always look over the mountain area and you go, there's lots of trees over there, why do we worry about the valley area? I think that people have to understand that we have to have areas for animals to be able to move through. We have to stop impacting negatively, especially on the creeks, because that's our fish-bearing creeks. That's the biggest thing that I find, is just we take trees off properties close to creeks, then we cause a lot of negative impact to the creek area. So that's why one little thing that you do by taking a tree out close to a creek can impact a native site, which is a creek that affects the fish. It all comes together. You have to look at it as a whole big picture, not thinking that if we take out all the trees in this area in the valley, if we look at the valley, you're impacting negatively on everything, all the creeks, all the hydrology that can be affected.
That's how our water tables and stuff like that work, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's lots of different ways we have to look at things. We can't look at everything, everybody's little, I call it their little postage stamp.
Right.
Our little postage stamp affects everything. If we take out trees on prevailing wind sides, you affect your neighbor's trees, they may fall over. So we have to look at everything more of a valley type of situation. So
the Land Trust, you know, it sponsored the Natures Without Borders, which basically did an inventory of ecological systems across the valley. It was a science-based report. It wasn't about like where the pretty places. It was about, you know, where the ecologically systems, where the systems are. And out of that, the Land Trust has played a role in the Comox Valley Conservation Strategy. Can you talk a bit about that and how that fits into what's happening on the development side?
I find that the conservation strategy has been very helpful with information of all the different groups that are part of it. It's so nice to be able to, for myself as a professional to be able to pick up the phone and phone somebody from Project Watershed or the mapping center, so I can understand where certain things are environmentally. And I find other people that are qualified professional appraisers, the RPFs, professional foresters, and biologists, etc. They're getting to know that conservation strategy is in place, and that whole group of people, that's good information to glean from. And also the estuary study, that's getting more and more information out there, more data for everybody to work from. So the professionals see that. They see that wow, that's great data we can have and use. And then they can go back when they're doing their assessment on work sites, etc. They can say, well, according to the conservation strategy, we're in an area here, this is environmentally sensitive. You know, maybe we should look at doing our development further away, or et cetera, et cetera.
So how does the private sector, how do developers respond to this kind of stuff?
Right now, they'll, it's a bit of an eye-opener for some of them, because they realize, holy man, you guys have done your homework. That's the biggest thing, because I find that if they know that we know what we have here as far as assets, they will either decide to respect it or they will not. So that's usually their response.
And where is that, like, so what's happening? Are more people choosing to respect it, or more people choosing to just walk away?
I think personally, from my own interaction with some of the developers, I find in certain parts of the valley, they'll walk away, and other parts they won't walk away, because right now they know in some areas it's a little bit more political, in other areas it's not as political, so they might move forward in those areas that are not as political.
Now the Land Trust has also developed something you call the development checklist.
Yes.
And I'm curious about that, because I understand the Land Trust as being about conserving areas, but they're actually developing a tool, or have created a tool that is for developers.
Yes.
So how does that work?
The scorecard is very, very well done. It's developed into different criteria, so they're looking at not only what the site is like, what's presently there, what can be retained, how it can be worked upon, and then how well does it work with transportation, etc. There's a whole bunch of different areas. But it's a very good overview for the developer to take this scorecard and see how they scored on all these different measures. And then they can take that with their development permit, or their pre-development permit, and to the council and say, we've got a site, we know how we can environmentally still protect things, but yet still provide a service.
And how's local government responding to this?
Pretty well. From the information that I've gotten back, I think they're happy to see it in place. It's an excellent checklist for them to be able to quickly review. It certainly, I think, lightens their load, and when they get so much work and there's not as many planners there, I think it really helps them.
Right.
Yeah.
So it saves us as taxpayers dollars.
I think it really does, and I think it's a very thorough overview of things. And there is a fee for the scorecard to be done, so it's
but
also
the developer pays.
Yeah, the developer pays the Land Trust. So, and everybody on the committee, we're all volunteers, but all of us are professionals too. But we do volunteer our time, right? To go to the sites.
So what is for those of us who are not actively involved with the Land Trust or other conservation organizations, what is the one thing, or what are a couple things that we could do to advance the work that's being done by you folks?
A couple things. With the Land Trust, we have a number of covenants in the valley, and because of that, we have quite a few invasive plant material growing in, that's ivy and blackberry. So we have, and broom, which is a big one. So we have broom bashes and blackberry hacking and holly
volunteer
hacking.
clean up the site.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. That's a wonderful thing that we need more help with. Volunteering, obviously, with our fundraising, but I think another thing is, if you're passionate and would like to look at better retention of the environmentally sensitive areas here, is let your politicians know. Give them a call and tell them, I really like Natures Without Border. I like what the conservation strategy is doing. Please pay attention to what they're doing and follow that. I think that's another great thing people could do.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for
You're very
taking your
welcome.
time this morning.
Okay.
And thank you for watching.